us, but if it's afternoon for you, that's epic. All right, cool. All right, I think I'm going to get the intro started, and then we can go from there. All right. Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. And today we are in for an exclusive conversation with the one and only Remi Wolf. Her brand new record, at least at the time of this conversation, is not quite out yet, but we're going to be talking about that and more. Anything else that comes up in the convo. Remi Wolf, thank you very much for coming on. I greatly appreciate your time. You are like really a burning hot ball of fire at the moment, and I just deeply again appreciate you taking the moment to just come on here and have a chat.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor, truly.
All right, so this new record, there's quite a few songs from it out. The whole thing is not out yet, but when it comes out, what is going to happen when the whole thing is out? What's going to occur? Like, is there going to be a rapture? Are meteors going to come down? Are volcanoes going to erupt? Like, what's going to occur as a result of this album coming out?
I think I'm going to sleep for like 3 months.
Okay. So a hibernation period.
I think a hibernation. Well, I actually finally kind of want to write new music, which I haven't been doing for the past like 5 months. So maybe a brief hibernation, and then more music will start flowing out of me. But for the rest of the world, I think hopefully explosion vibes. Like your radio will catch on fire or something. Oh. I hope. I don't know though. It's up to the people what happens, what they do with it. So
based off of maybe what you were saying a little bit there in terms of like, getting back to writing again and jumping back into that process, is it safe to say that, when it comes to creating music, it's something that you're not sort of like doing on the fly or really casually? It's something that you have to like really dedicate and sort of like focus down on and kind of create a space and an area for mentally and time-wise to like really get your best stuff out?
I think so. I like write here and there, like in my house or whatever. Like I play guitar and like fuck around on drums and stuff like that. But I do like being really focused with it. Like with the album, it was like, all right, like here we go. I'm making this album. And I really go for quantity ever. I'm more of just like quality. I'm just going to make these songs really fucking great. And I'll have like spurts of like a 3-day period where I'm like, I wrote 4 songs, and then I'll take like 3 weeks off, and then I'll go back to it. And then I'll write like 2 songs, and then I'll take a week off and then like write 1 song. I'm kind of like just jumping around like that. But my general flow is like, I've pretty much finished the entire writing of the song in that day. And then we'll go back and like touch up production stuff or like put in background vocals or like percussion or whatever. But it's pretty like on the spot, get it out and like dip and don't touch it again. For the most part.
Considering this is your first, entire record of tracks, what you're talking about in terms of like your flow and your process, are you still kind of getting like a sense of what exactly that is? Because I mean, I know you've been releasing songs and singles for a while, but did any of that process change or evolve in any significant way when you decided I've got to do an entire record?
No. Except for I did bring in more people. Like up until this album, everything has been me and then my co-producer and like co-writer, Jared Solomon, and we've done everything together. And then for this album, I was like, all right, I'm gonna like relinquish a little bit of control. And we brought in some other producers like Kenny, my friend Ely, this producer Y2K.
Yeah, he did that track with Baby No Money.
Yes. Yeah. He's a great dude. I love him. And Ethan Gruska, we did a track together as well. So I I opened up my world a little bit, which was like a very big thing for me to do because I'm kind of a control freak in that sense. But it's been awesome because it makes it a little less like precious for me, and I can get really like touchy and like precious about um everything, like every little detail and like the control element of it. It's hard for me to give it up, which is good in a lot of ways because I'm really touching every like from all every sound on the record, like the drums, like the synths, the guitar tone, like I'm just like directing the whole thing. And then with my visuals too, but yeah.
I think maybe, just as someone who's been looking at your process from the outside just recently, it seems like that's something, a point that you could arrive to as a result of all the songs and EPs you put out up until this point. You have a better idea of what your sound is. And when you have an idea of what you're working with and what you're going for, it's easy to kind of pass it off to somebody else because maybe there are some ideas that don't need to be communicated explicitly because given past material, everyone has maybe an idea of what we're going for.
That's interesting. I think that's totally true. We're like definitely in the making of this album, like we really built a solid soundscape. I think the soundscape is more like cohesive than it's ever been. It's still all over the place, which is kind of still like my style anyway, because
Yeah.
I drive I don't know, I'm inspired by so many things that I don't like being like I don't like pigeonholing myself into one thing, but it's gotten more clear, I think.
No,
And in my songwriting too, not just sound, but like songwriting.
no, I agree. There is like kind of a wildly eclectic character to the instrumentals on this record so far, and the fusions of rock and pop and hip hop and funk and everything else in between. It's like I don't know. It's pretty aggressive how you throw it all together. It's almost like you're kind of Jackson Pollock style, just like throwing it onto the canvas and just like however sort of lands is how it lands. And there's kind of like a quality of it that reminds me of Tune Yards. There's a quality of it that reminds me of Beck, but then there's also something about it that is very specifically you that I don't think anybody could take away from it.
Thank you. I like that. I think the Pollock thing is like it's very like just throwing fucking paint at the wall and like seeing what happens.
So let me know and let the audience know like a little bit, I guess, of an idea of what the progression has been up until this point, where I guess, you're really kind of focusing in on your music because, looking back, I came to learn you'd done some Olympic skiing. You had an American Idol tryout as well. At one point, like, what is this transition or kind of this build up been to this point, through your youth where you've decided that, music needs to be the focus and, through what instruments or records or kind of writing processes did that metamorphosis in terms of like, your life focus, come about?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was a ski racer for like 10 years when I was younger, and that was definitely like my primary thing that I did, but I was always kind of messing around with music on the side. Like I started performing like for people, like singing at talent shows and stuff, like when I was in fourth grade. So I was really young. So it was always something that I was kind of doing. I was in a bunch of little bands throughout like middle school and high school. I think when I turned like 16 is when I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And it was because I went and like busked with my friend. Like we went to this art fair and just like sat on the stairs by the sidewalk, and we'd like performed for I think an hour and a half, and we made $200. And at the time that was like the most money I'd ever made in my life.
That's more than some people's Spotify streams. So
Yeah. So I was like, oh, totally. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. And I love doing it. I love singing and I loved writing. But I think like my personal artistry with it, I think really started when I was probably 18 or 19, because I went to Thornton School of Music at USC. And like studied music in a very conservatory kind of style, but it was all contemporary music. It's like music from the 50s onwards. So I learned like the repertoire of
Mm.
America pretty
Yeah.
much. So, and I had performance class every week and we were studying like theory and like ear training and all that shit. And so and that was all great, but I think I lived in at the time when I was in college, I lived in this house with 10 people. We were all musicians and we were just jamming all the time. We were either like jamming, listening to music, like making art, writing songs together, like cooking together. It was just like this huge creative house. We also like partied a lot. So we were just like a big jumble of like musical horny babies. And and like I think that's where I really uh started to actually like really fall in love with different artists. Like I discovered like Porches and like Angel Olsen and like Anderson Paak and Kali Uchis and like Hiatus Coyote. Like all that stuff was kind of like rolling out at that time, like the early records of all those
Yeah.
bands. And I don't know, like all of that music really started shaping my. I was just mind blown. I was constantly mind blown by music. Like when you're that age and you're hearing music for the first time, and I don't know, it was really mind blowing to me. So started writing a bunch of songs, um, and yeah, so I played a bunch of house parties in college too. And like I think that's kind of where I picked up this rowdiness because in high school I was a little bit more of a reserved kid, and then I went to college and I was like, let's go. And I just kind of sent it to the wind. So yeah, I don't know. Was that the answer to
No,
the
no,
question?
I think that's an answer to the question. I think it explains a lot as well. Let's get into what you were kind of referencing there at the tail end there, the rowdiness as you sort of speak of, which like embodies
Yeah.
itself. Not just in the music, though we can talk about that as well. I think what comes across, especially on platforms like TikTok, where you've seemingly like popped off in a pretty big way, is your vibrant personality and style of dress, and I think a lot of people who are drawn to you are sort of like refreshed by what they see as almost like a lack of boundaries, and uh, and you're just kind of doing whatever the fuck you want to do. And I,
Yes, it.
and I guess like where do you feel like that energy comes from? At what point did you, given what you were saying earlier about maybe coming from a background or maybe a social I want to say context where maybe you felt more restricted, like how exactly
Mm.
did you get to that point where you felt like you could give yourself permission to, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm going to do this because I'm feeling it. I'm going to chase after whatever, feels like is true to me and sort of highlights me and what I want to highlight.
Mm. I mean, I think it's probably so many things. But I think being in school for so long kind of, I think, restricted me so much that once I left college, that's kind of when like I was rowdy in the way that I acted in college, but the music wasn't really reflective of that. And then once I left school and wasn't in that academic space anymore, I was just like, fuck it. Like I can't do these like music school rules and like slick tricks anymore. And I was just like, fuck it. I think I was really angry too. Like I think there's a lot of anger that goes into my music weirdly. And yeah, I channel a lot of frustration and anger through like just the high energiness of it. And I'm able to get out a lot of that energy on stage too, which is why I like making high energy music because it like goes directly into my show. And I want my shows to be so fun. And I want everybody to just like get crazy. Like you said, like just I want it to be like a big release for everybody there. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's so many things that have led to the explosion. I don't know. I mean, being a ski racer for so long was like crazy. I had to be so like disciplined and stuff, and it's just I'm like, I'm at this point where I'm just like, I can't give a fuck about what anybody thinks and what anybody else is doing. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But still at this point, like, because honestly, like, even with the wildness and the attitude that you're talking about, and just kind of like the lack of boundaries in a way, when I listen to your music, it does seem like there still is a lot of discipline that goes into it because it's so detailed and there's like so many nuances, and the vocal work is like, you're not just like going in there and just fucking winging it. There's like some crazy, intricate, insane details into a lot of what you do that requires like a lot of hammering down and a lot of focus.
Oh yeah, it hasn't left me. It is
Yeah.
there. um, it's like it's yeah. I think it's kind of a restrained chaos, and I don't think that I could ever not be detailed about. I like being technical about things, like especially vocals. I was like trained, so I'm like I'm a technical singer, and I want everything to be like hitting right, but in this imperfect way, which is kind of why I like doing like the vocal. Almost all of my lead vocals are just vocal stacks, like of either 3 to 5 vocals, because I like how raw and kind of fucked up it sounds, but it also sounds like I don't know, just clear or
Yeah,
something.
it makes every vocal really pop.
It's
Yeah.
poppy, yes. Um, what was the question?
I'm just talking about the detail, some of the
Details.
production and musical details of what you do. Not only does like kind of your
Yeah,
vocal approach and layering vocals in that way make them pop. It's almost like whatever you're
yeah,
singing, it gives it like a neon glow.
yeah. I think I I have a very arrangement focused
Mm.
brain. Um, and I almost like when I'm making songs, I kind of see them, I almost see them visually, and I can see the little spaces that need to be filled
Mm.
in order to like keep the flow of the song going. And I'm like huge on flow. Like I need it to, I'm pretty OCD about it, and I just like need it to flow perfectly. And I think that's where the detail comes in for me, because and that's why I do so many background vocals, because I sometimes I need to, the little areas need to be filled in with like a beep boop or something, like something that simple, like but I don't know, it needs it. It's like the
Yeah.
puzzle. Yeah, I'm like trying to complete
No,
the
I
image.
appreciate that, and it's really cool to kind of hear that in your own words because listening to the songs, I definitely get that sense because I think more passively, just about anybody could listen to them and like really get into whatever is the groove or like your rap flow on the track and just like really kind of vibe with that. But then there's these other these like you were saying, some of the vocal layering that seems like so careful and so methodical that I just like imagine you in the studio like a madman, just like aching over this one little line or getting this one single part right. And with that in mind, like what would you say for this record, maybe just so fans know as they go into it, like what was the hardest song to finish or accomplish? Because maybe the idea of that puzzle or the placement of certain sounds or ideas just wasn't coming together.
Mm. It's a song that has not yet come
Mm.
out. It's called Buttermilk. I feel like you'll like it.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
I hope you like it. It's yeah, it's like I think production wise as close to like kind of Yeezus-y
Oh, wow.
vibes that I'll ever get. We kind of sent it in that
Okay.
direction. Um, but that song took probably a year to like figure it out, because it was very strange. The groove of it was very strange. We didn't know where to take it production wise, and we ended up kind of going with like this big. It's like very tom drums and like tom heavy. There's like a lot of percussion and like bass, and we ended up doing like a fuck ton of 808 shit. And um, but it's kind of like this beautiful jazz song. Like I kind of wrote like a jazzy type song, but then it's like the beats fucked underneath. It took a really long time for us to figure that one out. Um, But songs like Liquor Store, Anthony Kiedis, Grumpy Old Man, and this song called What You Doing that's on the record that you haven't heard. All of those we knocked out in like 3 days,
Wow.
like so fast. So I don't know, it varies. Um, Normally, like I wouldn't go back to a song that takes me so long because in my head it's like, oh, something must be wrong with it. But I don't know. For Buttermilk, we had to finish that one.
I wanted to ask you, about another element of your writing process, and that's just, your lyrics. I think we could probably
Mhm.
maybe jump on to Anthony Kiedis as one example, though there are numerous throughout the record so far. And, this song, for example, like you're communicating some serious feelings of like, maybe like pandemic influenced isolation, feelings about family and friends, and so on and so forth. But like then through the Anthony Kiedis stuff, the Red Hot Chili Pepper stuff, and a host of other things, it's like, you have this message and you have the central idea, but then you sort of like work in this wild array of like references and like colorful nods to various things. And, I guess like how exactly, in your mind, as you're kind of like crafting lyrics or an idea for a song, does that come together? Are you kind of like, functioning with almost like, the randomness off the bat, or is it even randomness in any way? Are these like, references and I guess parallels and things that are connected to what you're saying, that make sense maybe only in your mind or given your own personal experiences, and for the audience it may just seem like a potpourri of different stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think in my mind, everything makes complete and utter
Yeah.
sense. um, and I guess I just have like a weird way of expressing my feelings. Like it's a little more indirect and like a little more
Hmm.
abstract and like maybe a little more surreal, I guess. Um, but like I do this thing where like I see a lot of like visuals when I'm writing, like even with the arrangement, like I was saying, I just kind of like see it. And with my lyrics, it's kind of similar. Like I'll close my eyes and see see this picture and like see images, and then that image will lead me to another image, and all the image will give me a feeling, and like I don't know, I'm just like kind of relating my feelings to
Hmm.
images, like um
Like it's like a reverse Rorschach test in a way.
sure, yeah,
It's like
exactly.
this feeling to me means frog, or or this other
Yes,
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
or
uh
just like a free associative word association thing, I guess.
it's very free associative, and it's like very wormholey. Like I'll just go into a little wormhole, and a lot of times it happens really quick, so I'll just be like I'm doing on and off Pilates with like a middle-aged soccer
Yeah.
mommy. And then like I was like, oh, if you're good doing Pilates, like then you're like in my mind, it was like I'm bending over backwards for
Mm.
people, and like I'm contorting myself for other people and myself. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna make a donut with my body, like, and I'm gonna talk to Jesus about it, I guess. There's like, I don't know. It all makes sense to me. And a lot of the times I'll go back and be like, what the fuck was I talking about during that part? But I know that there was a reason.
I guess when you put it that way, like, there does seem to be a succession with a lot of lyrics where it's like you'll say one line and then the next line, is partially related to maybe the action of the previous line, but then when you move on to the third line, it's, fully disconnected from the line 3 or 4 lines ago, but it makes sense with the line just before that. And it's like you're kind of just
Yeah.
like traveling further and further down, like you said, like this rabbit hole. And, listening to it, it does like, as you kind of already alluded to, but I was still thinking of it as I was hearing it. Like, is she saying this because it all means something, or is she saying this because it just sounds really cool? And regardless, it still does end up sounding really cool. Especially given like your word choice, and it does seem like you are still really careful, even as you say, like, oh, there's kind of this randomness, free associative quality to it. It still does seem like you're very careful about like your word choice and the rhythm that's playing out, with as you're kind of
Absolutely.
rapping or singing.
Yeah. No, it is it I am really careful with it. And I think a lot of the time like I'll I do a lot of like mumbling
Mm,
and I'll mumble and mumble and I'll find like consonants or vowels that my body naturally wants to
mm,
sing, like that feel good. And a lot of times I'll shape the words kind of around that. I don't know. I like a lot of times I just trust my body a lot more than I trust my
yeah.
brain. So I'll like follow what my mouth wants to do instead of being like, what is this lyric gonna mean and what is this gonna say? Like I'll follow my mouth and like shape the words around that and still in a way that like, carries meaning to me. But I do a lot of like instinctual body stuff. I'm very
Mm.
physical with it. Like if you see me like in the studio, I'm like bouncing around and like hunched over and like I don't know. It's kind of psychotic. I hope nobody ever sees me in the studio. Um, but oh yeah, I don't know. It's kind of primal. It's a little primal
No,
vibes.
I believe it, but it just like it ends up in a spot that just like I don't know. Just the execution that you arrive at just seems like just to kind of draw it back to another line on the record, like the Conor McGregor line, for example, like rolling off the tongue, that name feels like fucking gravel. And, it's to the guy's, badass credit, obviously. But the thing is, like, to throw that name into a bar and have it flow, like, in a way that feels natural, instead of just like I'm just going to force his name into this because it'll make sense for this or that. It's like the way that you flow that, and it just like just feels like it fits with that line in a way where, as you say it, it's like it's just the rhythm of it registers with me before the name actually
Yeah.
does. You know what I mean? I
It's
actually,
the shaka the
yeah,
da.
like
Is
I
that
had to
it?
when
Yeah.
it's only when I went back and listened to it again that I was like, wait, she's referencing Conor McGregor, But as I was listening to it, the rhythm just made so much sense. It was like, yeah, this just like sounds really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think rhythm is so
Mm.
important. So important. And I think I it comes natural to me, thank God. Like it just kind of just does come out like that.
Yay.
Like I'm not like, oh my God, this needs to be a triplet,
Yeah.
like I'm like okay, shaka da 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 da
Mm.
da. Um, I think I just watched like a Conor McGregor UFC
Yeah.
fight
And
when
it
I
just
wrote that
popped
song.
it just popped
Like,
in your head.
yeah, it just popped in because like what I'm talking about in that song is like at the time I wrote that I was things were kind of going off on the internet or whatever for
Mm.
me. It was still deep in the
Yeah.
pandemic and I was like kind of the most depressed I'd been in a really long
Mm.
time. And I was like, why is all this shit going so well? And then I feel like shit. Like I feel like I'm just being punched in the face like all day. And I was like, oh, Connor, there he
Mm.
is, our king.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's just how it came
Mm.
about.
Talking about, I guess, like that point of kind of blowing up on the internet, because I mean that's certainly an interesting part of your progression up until this point as well. Like, talk about, I guess, a little further that transition. Not just from college to performing and taking music more seriously, but getting to that point where you're recording, you're uploading stuff online, you're beginning to put yourself out there a little bit more, and then finally starting to see like, because any creator has that moment in time where as they're putting stuff out there, it feels like you're just kind of screaming into a void, but what was
Mm-hmm.
that moment, and what was that moment like where you finally started to see like a reaction or a response to what you're doing, and what was that response initially?
Mm. I feel like for me it's strange because I think as soon as I put out my first song ever, my song Guy, um, back in beginning of 2019, I think. Didn't have a manager, didn't have anything at the time. And it kind of immediately got onto these playlists. Like it got into that music discovery, like whatever, that algorithm
Okay.
rotation. So kind of right off the bat, I had a little bit of like I got some emails, like I got some like A&R emails and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, didn't really answer any of them, but based off of just that song, I somehow booked this tour with Still Woozy.
Hmm.
Um, and the song had been out for like 2 months, and he like called me, or his agent called me, and they were like, "Hey, like Sven's going on tour in 2 weeks. Do you want to do it?" And like I was like, "Yeah," and I was a huge fan of Sven, um, and yeah. So honestly, for me, like it felt really immediate
Yeah.
because I had one song and I booked this tour, and I was like, "Wow."
Well,
And
yeah,
like
from what
kind
you're
of
saying, it sounds like it. So that initial playlisting, you weren't reached out about that or notified about that. It just kind of happened.
it just
It
kind of
was
happened
some
like
lowly
within
Spotify renegade that's like, fuck this. I'm just throwing her on here.
I think, dude, yeah, I don't know. Like that song got like a decent amount of
Hmm.
listens, and then I booked the tour, and then kind of from there, it just all the momentum started building. I mean, the really big one was like photo
Yeah,
ID
yeah,
on
yeah,
TikTok. Like that was like okay, something's happening, and that was like mid-pandemic. Like I mean, it was crazy. But I mean, the craziest part, which we were kind of talking about before, was that I haven't gotten to meet any of my fans or anybody who's listening to the music until the past
yeah,
month. And that's been the most life-changing part of the past 2 years for me. Because it's like you get to see these people who I've connected to the music, like, and you really see like you're like I'm like, wow, like these people know the songs and they like these songs and they're happy. They seem so
yeah.
happy. like wow, I did something there.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. Like, for a long time, for most of your success up until this point, you've only known these people through the online space. Now that you're seeing
Yeah,
them in person at these shows, who are they? Who are these people?
they're I think that they are people who are
Hmm.
freaks on the inside or people who aren't freaks but want to be
Okay.
freaks. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
What are you doing that's bringing this freakish energy out of them? I mean, it's
I don't know, man. I think that the freak just
uh-huh.
flies. The freak just starts flying. And like I don't know, but they're so chill. They all smoke weed, which I like don't smoke
Hmm.
weed, but they all do. They love weed. Um and they're very nice people. Very kind
Yeah.
people so far.
I'm not trying to stereotype you or anything, but I will say there is like an ever so slightly like in like maybe like a dab of a hippie vibe that comes off of you just a little bit. And I think there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of people that with that background they connect with that. They see that and they're like, "Oh yeah, she's down. She's down. Let's
Oh,
light up
I'm
to the Remi
down.
Wolf."
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm a little bit of a
Hmm.
hippie. I'm like a straight edge
Hmm.
hippie. Like but yeah, I think the hippies come out, but also kind of like intense hippie.
Yeah.
Like you're like
Yeah.
intense. I'm like a pretty intense person, which is weird because people don't assume that they think that I'm like flowy and like laid back, which in some senses I am, but like in a lot of other, I don't know.
Well,
We're all
I
humans. We're multifaceted,
listening to
but
your music and
yeah.
seeing, the cuts of your live shows, I don't get that sense. Like, and that's the thing. And that's why I hesitate to sort of like make the hippie comparison because there doesn't seem to be that kind of flowy, almost like whimsical or airheadedness about you. You're more explosive. You're more, like in terms of like, aesthetic and sort of like outward vibe, there is kind of that hippie look, but in terms of your execution, you're more Henry Rollins, you know, like
yeah.
you're,
I love it.
like I'd think you'd be more likely to take someone out with a mic stand than be like, oh, everybody, come on, stop. Like, get along. If there was like some kind of fight breaking out, like you'd be right there, like
Oh,
throwing an amp on
I'd be
someone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that shit. Yeah, Remi.
Well,
Yeah, you're spot
yeah.
on.
Well, listen. Don't make a viral video that you'll regret, though. Don't throw an amp cabinet on anybody. Hold back. Show restraint.
Yeah, I'll try not to. It'd be cool if we brought out. You know what? We should really bring back the Marshall stack. What do you think about that?
I feel like I feel like for you that would be refreshing and revolutionary and cool. Like, there are bands out there like Weezer trying to bring it back, but honestly, it's like, when you're Weezer, I kind of feel like, you're trying to like you're trying to do a nerd version of the Van Halen thing, and that's already kind of apparent, or that's not really an aha moment. I feel like for you that would be more of like hey, look at me, I'm this free spirit and everything, but look at my giant fucking Marshall stack, bitch. You know what I mean? I think for you that would be like, kind of.
It's pretty iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be like, showing up to a gathering of the vibes in a tank. You know what I mean? Like I think that would be a statement. Yeah, I'd be pro that.
Okay, cool. But not the fitted.
But not the fitted hat. No. I think what you're doing now, headwear wise, is very good. It works for you, but not fitteds. Maybe once you bring the Marshall stack out, throw on a fitted, and a red one, throw it backwards, and just it's just one of those days where you don't want to wake up. Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks.
Give me some to break. Oh,
scale of 1 to 10. How influential would you say that song is in general to you? I mean, it's like I feel like that song's really kind of withstood the test of time. Deserves some critical reacclaim, I think.
I didn't hear that song until 4 months ago, my guy.
So not very, but I'm sure you identify with it on some level.
Oh, I so identify. Honestly, the first time I heard it was in the fucking Woodstock '99 documentary. Did you see that?
Yeah, no, I was alive during it. I lived it.
You went?
No, I just watched it on the news. I was still a child. Child. But like, all I heard or all I remember are just like, well, here's the thing. Probably looking at it in retrospect, and watching a documentary of it, like I'm sure it shows like, the negatives and everything about it. But when I was a kid and, remembering like, oh man, all my favorite bands are playing there and so on and so forth. But like, still around the time, as far as like the news coverage, it would just like, here's all the horrible things that happen. People are doing this. Here's all the crime that's happening. It's the, it's like, it's the downfall of society happening at this concert and everything. And,
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was like swimming around in what they thought was mud, but it was actually just like
poo. Yeah, it was the porta potty runoff.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'm sure people are just like peeing and pooping wherever,
Yeah. So sick.
Yeah. Oh, totally sick.
So awesome.
All right. Let me ask you a few one-off questions here. Like off the top of your head, name me somebody in your opinion who's an underrated singer.
Oh. Whoa, wow. This is a shock to my system.
This is a shock to your system?
Yeah, I don't know. Sting?
Okay. All right.
Because I feel like nobody talks about him anymore.
Nobody talks about him anymore?
And he's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, I love those Police records.
Chaka Khan. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's not underrated, though. She's just like perfectly right on rated. Yeah. She's the best.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I think that's fine. Fair answer. Thank you. Off the top of your head, album with no skips. Album you could just go through the entire thing, no skips at all. Could be any record.
Baduism.
Okay, that's a good one, and I think totally fits your very funky vibe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Who's an artist or a band that you think is overhated, catches too much flack?
Jet.
Jet. Wow. Yeah, that's a bold choice. That's a bold choice. What like why
I
like
mean,
why Jet? I mean, you say you
because they like got
they
ruined.
did.
They got ruined and they didn't deserve a
Yeah.
ruining.
Just
They just deserve the, take it or leave it. But they got ruined.
right.
And I feel bad for them on that
You
level.
think that Jet should have just been left and allowed to be Jet if they wanted to be Jet,
I think
rather than the
so.
whole world coming down on them and saying, you know what, no more cock rock, boys, you're done here.
Oh my God. I mean, now that you put it like
Yeah.
that, I'm like, oh fuck.
No, it's hey,
But
listen. I think your assessment is fair. I think the world did bully Jet.
is Twitch hating on me right now? Are they
Are they
hating me?
hating? Uh,
Probably.
uh, someone says nice choice. Wow, wow. Uh,
Wow.
someone's laughing at me saying cock rock. Um, so I think it's fine. Twitch is not hating on you right now.
It's good.
No,
Okay.
I agree with
Thank
your
you.
assessment there. I think the world to a degree like bullied Jet into submission a little bit. I guess to your point, like, why did why did the world avalanche down on Jet but not the darkness? We let the darkness live. We let a thing called love breathe. We let it have its moment. But we didn't let Jet do it with, do you want to
No.
be my girl? Dun, 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 dun. We didn't let
I
them
mean,
do it.
that's not
Yeah,
huge. They made
they did.
money. They're fine.
Well, I hope so. I hope they put some away for a rainy day. I mean, it's been a while since there's been a
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah, it has. I don't know. I think I love the
Hmm.
underdogs. I always believe in the underdogs in the situation when I help them out.
Okay, all right. That's a big hard on you. Would you ever have Jet on a track? No.
No.
Okay. So not that much. It's
Not that
you're
much.
you're rooting for Jet, but you're not a philanthropist. You're not going to be throwing Jet any
Exactly.
hype.
There's no charity going
Yeah,
on here, but I
there's not going
will.
to be a Remi Wolf headlining tour with Jet opening. No.
No. No, not anytime soon.
That's poor Jet. Honestly, it's that's okay.
I
It's
know.
it's.
See, poor Jet. You
I
agreed.
feel
Let's
like
go.
musically and artistically, you just kind of friend zoned them just a little bit. You know what I mean? You're like, hey,
It's a
I
friend
like you
zone.
guys, but from afar. No,
Yeah.
and that's
I'm
fine. That's fine. You just like them as friends. Um, what would you say is an instrument that you would like to master if you could just snap your fingers? What's an instrument that you just be able to play at Yo-Yo Ma level if you could just wake up one day and do it?
Drums.
Drums, just drums.
Drums.
Yeah,
Just
just
drums.
drums.
I love drums. I want to be so good at drums. And I'm decent at drums, but I just want to be the best.
Hmm.
And it will never happen. And I know it won't. Or maybe like
Hmm.
clav. Like that'd be cool.
You are, to your own credit, as much as you would like to be better at drums, a multi-instrumentalist, and you talk about early on singing competitions and performing as a singer, but like when did things like drums come more into play in terms of I'm going to expand my horizons and learn more about playing other
Mm.
instruments and composing and so on and so forth?
I think the drum thing started probably when I was
Hmm.
18, like my first year in school. I dated three drummers in a row.
Yeah.
So that kind of did it in. And I learned a lot from them. They all like really taught, like I got my rudiments going, like I had a practice pad, I had my sticks that I put in my backpack. Like I was going off on that shit for a while. And I bought a drum kit this past year, a vintage
Hmm.
Gretsch kit, which I'm very proud of. I love
Hmm.
it. Um, so yeah, like I've been probably dabbling with drums for like almost 7 years at this point. I'm still not great, but it just makes me feel good just playing them. Like I think that's like I just feel so good when I play it. I think other instruments really frustrate me because I'm just like, oh, it's like too hard and there's too many things. But with drums, you're just like slamming
Yeah.
shit and it just feels good. Feels good to do it. I'm fine. I'm decent at guitar. Like that's another thing. That started a little younger. I think I was 15 when I started learning guitar. Um, I'm horrible at piano. So
Hmm.
bad. Uh, and I don't really want to get better. Like it's not doesn't call out to me. I like would rather have other people do
Yeah.
it, you know? Yeah.
Just pass the buck on that fucking piano.
Yeah, fuck it. I don't care. It's
You
fine.
know, speaking of drumming and also just the TikTok platform, I guess she was more of an Instagram phenomenon before TikTok. But have you caught that, like that older lady who drums on TikTok? And
Yes.
God, she is so badass. She's
She's sick.
sick. She's fucking
Sick.
sick. I forget her. Do you remember her name? I don't recall her name right
I
now.
don't remember her
It's
name, but she's an icon. She's so
She's a
amazing.
total icon.
Like,
Like it, honestly, if you probably just look up drum talk, you'll come across her pretty quickly. But she's great.
yeah, so cool. So, so cool. I want to be that old and playing drums already. I want to be that already.
You want to fast forward 30, 40 years and just
I would love to.
and pass all this bullshit that's happening right now.
That's the bullshit.
And
Get to the happy
yeah,
drum lady.
and just get to the old lady drumming on TikTok and just be like, okay, get your practice pad out.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I sympathize with that. Fast forward. I wish I could fast forward to the time when I'm an old lady, hitting
Yeah.
hitting the paradiddles.
In the paradiddles.
You know, just kind of speaking of the TikTok platform more generally, as somebody who's like blown up there, seen a lot of success over there. From what I understand, you have also not just music but a sound popping off over there right now too, or you did for a minute. Is that true, or did I mishear that?
Did I?
Never mind. It's probably
Probably not.
probably not something that was true. But still, you know, having said that, are
Oh, are you talking about my song Liz?
no, I don't think it was a music thing. But you know, anyway, you know, are there any sort of like creators or anything going on there on the music side that inspires you or interests you greatly? Because as somebody who's kind of taken to the platform maybe over the last 6 months, I really love a lot of what I see on the music side over there in terms of like the players, the ability to collab and the crossover quality, and really just a lot of the musicians kind of blowing up purely in that space as well. Like I've met and talked to people who honestly I've never heard of before. I don't get PR emails about them. Nobody's up my fucking ass in the industry to review them or talk about them, but they got platinum plaques. You know, they have like a gold record or like millions of streams on Spotify, and they've kind of built their own little strange niche off world in TikTok space.
Totally.
And I don't know, it's, you know, from somebody who kind of blew up out of that in their own way, like, you know, what's your thoughts on some of that?
I think it's totally sick and totally valid and totally awesome. Like I respect anybody who I really respect people who know how to use the platform and make it work because I don't think I'm one of those people. I think I lucked out on my song kind of going because I don't know. I don't know how to make I'm not very good at it. I can't really do it. Like if you've seen any of my TikToks, you'd be like, holy shit, like Jesus. You're constantly making TikToks.
I've
I
been
always
kind of slow at it this past week.
No, you have not. There I get three a day. Three a day.
It's look,
There's so
it's been a
many.
few days. I'm gonna get off this at, you know, after we're done talking and make probably a couple. Probably gonna do a couple. Thank
Oh
you for
yeah.
liking them though. The fact that it's ending up.
Do you see my
Well, no,
likes?
I'm saying that the fact that it's in your For You page must mean that you're liking it.
Oh yeah. I'm
Yeah.
liking them.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're funny. You do
Thank
good.
you.
You're
I do good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
you do good. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like TikTok is like it's such an art, it's become such an art form at this point. Like everybody knows. I feel like beginning of TikTok, it was like kind of the Wild West and like you had no idea what you were gonna get, which I thought was kind of exciting. Now it's a little bit more TikTok-y. You know, it's like become a thing. Um, but I've seen some amazing music on TikTok. Like I saw this little jazz, like these two jazz vocalists singing together the other day. I posted it on my Instagram story because I thought it was so good. I don't know. I don't know if I'm as tapped into the music TikTok as you are. I think my TikTok is more food related.
Yeah, there's some like mind blowing jazz people and players over there that I see all the time. This one person who I just love to death. I'd recommend to anybody. I think her name is Kelly or Kelly Kellen Hannes. Kellen Hannes. I don't, you know, it's I don't know how exactly to say her name,
Helen Hanna.
but she does these videos where she's just like, she pulls out her trumpet and has like some jazz playing in the background. She busts out the wildest fucking solos. And then as soon as she's done, she just stares into the camera and goes, ah! And then the video ends.
Oh yeah, I've seen her. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah,
she's sick.
She's fantastic. And I'm just like, I love how it, you know, on this platform, you have serious musicianship colliding so aggressively and so unapologetically with like pure memery. You know, it's like, I'm going to, you know, hit you with just like ridiculous absurdism, but then also just like, you know, virtuoso level, you know, soloing and, you know, performance at the same time. And, you know, I find that sort of thing like really refreshing about this generation in general, because it seems like, I don't know. I mean, I come from a time during the 90s and the 2000s where, you know, you had grunge and everybody was depressed and all of their clothes were ripped, and, you know, it's being sad was an aesthetic. And you know, and since then it's always remained to be, at least to some degree. And now it seems like, you know, there's a little bit more willingness across the board to take ourselves less seriously. And, you know, at the time when I was younger, that's what I thought was so refreshing about punk music, because it seems like, you know, it just kind of gave you the freedom to be ridiculous, be whatever the fuck you wanted to be tongue in cheek, be out there, be outlandish as you feel like. And it seems like that attitude's just kind of been almost mainstreamed in a way, you know, and I like that, you know, even as an old person going on TikTok and being berated by 16-year-olds being like, get the fuck off here, old man, get the fuck out of here. So I don't know.
So mad at you.
So angry at me being old. You know, honestly, it excites me, because if people are this mad at me just being ridiculous on the internet at 35, just wait until I'm 55 and
you're going to be so
I'm the old lady doing paradiddles.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
But you're like top of the morning.
Top of the morning. Yeah, that was not a trend that I foresaw taking off or whatever.
You did that, right?
Yeah,
that was you.
That was me. That was me, fucker.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
dude.
and honestly, it's like I have so much fucking, when I tell you honestly, I have so much fucking reservation going on TikTok, or really just like the internet in general. And I don't know if this is because of just like body image issues, or just like always seeing myself for the past 10 years just like framed chest high. But like I have so much like reservations about doing anything like, you know, knees up, full body. But like when I tell you, there was something about that sound when I saw it turn up on my FYP, I'm just like, why am I seeing this dance in my head? And just like, I just couldn't like stop seeing the rotation of like, you know, it's like, as I was listening to it, all I could imagine was like a sailor or a mailman or a leprechaun, just like, you know, constantly just taking their hat off. And, you know, and as I was thinking about it, it's like, I kind of want to do that on camera, but it's not a dance. You're just taking your hat off over and over. It's going to look dumb. And then I probably did 3 takes, and the one that you guys saw is the third one. And I think that was the one where I decided I need to slow the recording down so that as you actually see the video, it looks like I'm kind of doing it fast or something, because there's kind of, you know, a funny quality to that. And
that's my favorite effect, by the way. I do that a lot too on my TikTok. It's so fun.
It's a good effect. And like, I don't know, I was kind of blown away by just like the way dance-wise people were just like freestyling off of it. And it's like I saw guys just like rolling the hat down like numerous times, like, holy shit, why didn't I think of that? Why did I just like stiffly do this over and over? Like I don't know, but whatever. TikTok is fun. Thank you. You are wearing a hat though. You don't need to pretend to take it off. You could. There you go. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Get into it. Like really. It's
like floppy though. Like because I'm like hitting my head with.
I greatly appreciate you going the extra mile though. I do appreciate you going the extra mile. All right. Listen, we've taken up a lot of your time. and we greatly appreciate your time. We appreciate you coming through and being an open book and being so honest and, just forthright about the record and everything that you've been doing. Love the insight, thank you so much. And outside of the record, outside of the album, which obviously is coming out Friday, and you just kind of finished up all these performances, what else do fans and everything need to look out for over the next few weeks? You have more dates coming up, right? So like people need to look out for that. People need to get tickets for that.
They can get tickets for that, especially Europe, if you're watching, buy your tickets. I have album, I have videos coming out. I have like other cool content pieces coming out. You'll learn more about me. Okay. We have some special guests coming in. I don't know. Like maybe you'll see like 10-second videos of me like sliding on a slip and slide.
Okay.
That would be fun. I was thinking about that in the shower yesterday. Little vibes like that. I don't know. I think just go listen to the album and like try to fuck with it as much as you possibly can.
The record's coming out Friday. Stream the shit out of it.
Yeah, stream it.
And if things go well, try to reach out to Marshall and just try to get a sponsorship so you can just get the stack given to you for free. Like don't even buy the stack. You're at a point right now where you should be given the stack as a promotion.
Oh, it would be so sick. Yeah. Fuck. It's such a good idea. I'm honestly really into it. But yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just playing shows and releasing a record. That's it.
Awesome. And hey, as you were kind of saying earlier, I hope the hibernation period goes over well, the sleeping and the resting.
Oh yeah, thank you.
No, that's going to be good.
Oh, actually, I am starting something secret, but I can't tell you. But there is going to be more things coming that aren't music related.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Thank you for telling me the non-music secret thing. Well, we'll look out for it. We'll look out for the non-music secret thing.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I don't even think my management knows about it, so surprise everybody.
Okay. Damn. All right. Well, management's out of the loop too. Well, thank you for announcing the non-management secret non-music thing here. We'll look out for it.
Awesome.
All right. Remi Wolf, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.